unfortunately we don't play Champions League, because this week in the Champions League there was a penalty. But we play Premier League and there are different standards.
Chelsea beating Liverpool in a dramatic finish. This was the Saturday night football. Chelsea unhappy not to get a penalty in the first half. This was for a push by Dominic Szoboszlai on Alejandro Garnacho. Dermot, anything in this?
He gets a little touch, there's no doubt about that, but is it going to cannon him through the air like that? I think not. What I will say as well, before I go any further, I thought this was an absolute masterclass in referee. Allowed them to compete. It was a great game because of the referee. Set a tolerance level that everybody fell in line with. It was great match.
Again, I agree with Dermot. You know what the funny thing is there is that Garnacho is trying to buy that foul. He's trying to buy a penalty there, and Szoboszlai was wise to it, because yes, there was contact. Yes, there was pulling and pushing, but as soon as it got to that key moment when he's either going to pull it back or he might have a shot from that acute angle, Szoboszlai stopped, but then he's gone over, and I think that's the reason why he didn't give a penalty. At normal speed, I thought in my mind he's dived, and he should have got a yellow card for that, to be honest.
Okay. Later on, we're moving through this because Isak felt he was hit in the face by Reece James in the box. Now, Arne Slot said if this was in the Champions League, it would have been a penalty. We keep bringing this up, the comparisons to Champions League and Premier League officiating, but what do you say, Dermot?
I think it's a foul by Isak. I think he grabs him first. When James gets swung round, he catches him, there's no doubt about that, but the first foul is committed by Isak. The referee spots the first foul, and I think in the Champions League they spot the first foul because they're top referees at that level.
I agree with that again. I mean, the only thing I would see, I hate, and I've been in situations like that, defenders, they just try and shield the ball. They don't actually have control of the ball, and I think in that situation there, Reece James actually hasn't got control of the ball, and Isak wants to get round and get it, but because he's blocking him, he can't. Yes, there's contact from Isak on his shoulder. That's where the initial foul was. But then when he goes round him, of course, James is then, he's panicking and he's throwing his arms out. But the initial foul and initial decision was the right one. But I can understand why Isak is frustrated there, because defenders do that a lot, even when the ball's going out of play. They always kind of shield it and block you from getting the ball. I don't like that, and it goes in the defender's favour. But I mean, that's the rules, and it was the right decision in the end.
Slot was really, really frustrated though, Dermot. I mean, he felt a similar soft penalty was given against Liverpool at Galatasaray last week.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem, isn't it, Hayley? That everybody sees the game through the prism of their own club colours. He feels aggrieved at one at Galatasaray, which he doesn't think is a penalty, but that doesn't mean that's a penalty at Chelsea. I understand his frustration because he thinks, well, we've been done twice because we got one given against us, we didn't get one given for us. But you can't, if he thinks that one's wrong, he must think that one's wrong as well, because quite clearly Isak committed the first foul.
Dermot, I don't see decisions with the same prism anymore.
No?
No, I'm objective
Since
now.
Yeah, right.
I brought you to the referee side.
You brought me to the referee side, you gave me the handbook.
Goodness me. Let's talk about this then. Enzo Maresca and his celebrations. Look, he'd already been booked for his protest about that Garnacho penalty shout, but he was later sent off. I mean, for that, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do it in style then, Dermot?
Well, better hung for sheep than as a lamb, isn't it? If you're going to do it big style.
I think that's a terrible decision. I mean, he's a part of the team. If they've scored right at the end, he's going to go and celebrate, and then for the referee to just come over and spoil the celebrations like that, that's unbelievable. I think, sometimes I look at certain things and I say sometimes you can over celebrate. Especially when it's not big games, big occasions. But in that situation there against, the champions right at the end, I think you should be able to celebrate with your team. He's part of the team.
Yeah, what do you think, Dermot? Or is it inciting the crowd? Is it causing...
If he had jumped into the crowd, that's different. But he actually just run over to the corner flag, cuddled his players, then went back. I know you disagree with this.
I don't disagree. I feel for the referee, because the referee's hamstrung, isn't he? He's just got to do it. He ends up being the party pooper, so to speak. I mean, you've just said that, but he's got no choice, has he?
No, party pooper.
Again, I know you hate this when I say this, but This is another example of, the referee just saying, you know what, it's right at the end of the game, you're playing against the champions, let common sense prevail, let him celebrate. Is anyone going to really be upset with that? No, I don't think so. But the rules are the rules, you're going to say, and that's the way it has to be. But I don't even think that should be a rule, because he's celebrating with his players.
I agree, and he couldn't go to the press conference either. Goodness me! So we don't like it either. We don't get to hear from him. Let's talk about John Brooks in charge of Arsenal then, and take you straight to the second goal against West Ham on Saturday, coming from the penalty spot. But actually, should it have been a pen in the first place? No doubting that Malik Diouf obviously fouled Jurrien Timber, but was it in the box, Dermot?
Started outside, continued inside. VAR checked it, so they confirmed that it's still a foul inside the box. There, that's why it's given as a penalty.
Yeah, again, I agree. There was a situation like this with Amad Diallo a few weeks back, where the pulling of his shirt started from outside. Yeah, and then he's gone inside and gone down. I think it was the same occasion there. Diouf's, yes, the contact started outside the box, but as soon as his foot is on the line, it's now inside the box. That's when Timber's gone down, and it's a penalty. But again, it's good play from Timber, because he's felt contact, and he's gone down when there was actual contact, and he's gone down at the right moment. So it's gone in Arsenal's favour, but people are going to say, but it started outside the box.
That doesn't matter though, does it, Dermot?
No. It's and I think fouls like that, they can continue in the box. It's a trip that's very difficult to say, because if you trip somebody, you trip at a point.
Yeah.
But an upper body foul is much easier to detect.
And you can look at it another way as well, can't you? You can say Timber's been honest enough to try and stay on his feet, and then it got to a point where he couldn't, and he's gone down. But it's benefited Arsenal because they've got the penalty.
Okay, let's take it back to a bit earlier in the second half, because Arsenal had another claim for a penalty, didn't they? Konstantinos Mavropanos. Did he handball it here?
Yeah. He would be desperately unlucky, wouldn't he?
No, I'd get...
He's running, it struck him, that's all.
Yeah, and you know what as well, when you look at that, Gyökeres is there. He probably can't see the ball until really late. That would have been so harsh to give another penalty. That was never a penalty in my opinion, and that's me being objective.
Is he being all rightly objective, Dermot? You happy with Jay's performance so far?
10 out of 10 so far.
Good, okay. Okay, guys, all that to come. But we're going to be starting at Old Trafford on Saturday afternoon. Manchester United beat Sunderland 2-0. But we start at the end of the first half, Dermot. Real confusion here, because Benjamin Sesko with a high boot on Trey Hume. Referee Stuart Atwell, now he waved it away, but then gave a penalty after, of course, speaking to his assistant. Now, VAR intervened in the end, Dermot, but, I mean, what did you make of the whole scenario in general?
Well, what you would say, Hayley, it's the right decision in the end. If you look at this, the referee didn't give it turns away. I think the assistant thinks he's caught him with his boot, but he doesn't. It's actually the ball that hits him in the face. If you watch here, it's the ball that hits him in the face there, not Sesko's boot. So he's sent to the monitor. When he looks at the monitor, he sees that and comes back and makes the right decision, no penalty.
I agree with that, I completely agree. One thing I don't understand about that is the referee was a lot closer than the linesman. So why can't the referee see that he hasn't hit him in the face with his foot and let the play carry on? Because obviously that stopped it again. And I think these are the things that we don't want to see in football. Stoppages all the time to see about a VAR decision. He could have just continued there because he had a better view anyway.
Well, he had to stop it for the VAR decision, didn't he? Because the on-field decision was penalty.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I don't think if the referee doesn't deem it a foul and it's clear and he's right there, that's clear. I think everyone see that wasn't a foul. Even when I was watching that on TV, you could see that he didn't kick him in the face. I just think that's an opportunity to just carry on instead of VAR intervening. I don't think VAR should have intervened in that, basically.
Well, the VAR had to intervene because the on-field decision was penalty, wasn't it? The VAR didn't give the penalty. The assistant told the referee that he caught him in the face.
I know.
That was the problem. And once he'd done that, the referee then changed his mind, if you like. He gave the penalty. Once he'd given the penalty...
But the referee initially didn't give a penalty,
he didn't.
Did it? And that's what I'm saying. And he was closer. That's why I think he should have precedent. As in, he was in a great position. He was right there. He could see it. The linesman that was further away gave it. Then they checked the VAR. But I'm saying I think the referee should have just said, no, he definitely didn't get hit. Play on.
The good thing is, though, the VAR was there.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think potentially as well maybe caught up a little bit the lines with the referee? The fact we have seen quite a few of these sort of high kicks and studs up as well in the last few weeks. Dermot.
Yeah, I think possibly. I actually agree with Jay that the referee didn't give it. The assistant fed the information to. I think the assistant's got a different angle, and probably from his angle, he saw it's kicked him. But if you look at it, you know, it's caught him in the face. The ball's caught him in the face. That's what's hit him.
What about, Jay, as well, when we compare Champions League in the way that's officiated, and we heard it, didn't we, just a moment ago, but here comparing a similar one given against Man City in the Champions League.
Do you know what the thing is, Hayley? I think that if the rules were all the same across the board, then I think we don't get these kind of comments where it's like, oh, it's different in the Champions League compared to the Premier League. If it's the same standards across all the leagues, we don't get these kind of argumentative things that managers might come out with. But I mean, ultimately, that they got there in the end, and it was the right decision. But yeah. I don't like the fact that there is different rules for the Champions League compared to the Premier League or any other league, to be honest.
But then lost late on. Jamie, how did it happen?
Well, I just want to look and go back to a few things we've been talking about with Liverpool in terms of when we've been analysing on Monday Night Football. I just want to look at the first goal and where it actually comes from. I think it's really interesting how Liverpool sort of set up and defend, really. And I'm just going to stop it now. And when you look at Liverpool, and don't forget what we said against Crystal Palace, Liverpool always like the extra man on the back line in terms of their centre-backs. So it's man for man almost all over the pitch. Full-back v winger, full-back v winger, winger v full-back on that side. Salah's here. So Boslai stepped forward. So it's almost like a 4-4-2, really. That's exactly what it is for Liverpool in terms of the press. Gravenberch's just here and McAllister here. Now, if you actually look at Liverpool's two centre-backs, it's 2v1. So they've got a spare man. But that means Chelsea have got a spare man somewhere else. And that man is the goal scorer here. In oceans of space, Caicedo, who was absolutely fantastic in the game. But this is the knock-on effect. If Liverpool always want to have a spare man at the back, someone is spare somewhere else. And the teams now, and especially Maresca with Chelsea, has found this spare man in 3 times against Arne Slot's Liverpool and caused them real problems. And the goal's fantastic, but it comes from that. McAllister steps in and the strike is absolutely fantastic there. I mean, what a strike.
Are we talking now about Moises Caicedo? I think Gary Neville said it the other night as being the best midfield player in the Premier League.
Oh, he's very close. He wouldn't be the best for me. I would, if you're talking about all-round midfield player, I would say Declan Rice would just pip him for me. I just think he's got an extra little bit of quality with the ball. But there's no doubt over the last, not just this season, if you think from sort of Christmas onwards, last season, he was good as anybody in the Premier League. Fantastic performance, and don't forget it was Liverpool and Chelsea battling out for his signature 18 months ago. But I think Declan Rice just has the edge in terms of his passing.
Chelsea certainly very happy to have him, and they're very happy to have Estevao as well, who popped up having come off the bench with the winner.
Yeah, he did. And again, it's a Chelsea win, but we're going back to Liverpool, and again I keep going back to the analysis we did on Monday Night Football where they were with Crystal Palace late on in the game. There's a throw-in happening and get played through too easy. This happens again, and my criticism of Liverpool being almost like a basketball team, again, it's come back to haunt them. You know, this thing about being end-to-end in a game of football like this, Liverpool should be dominating this game when you consider the personnel Chelsea have got. And it's fantastic football from Chelsea, but the point I'm making about that is when the ball gets switched, your actual left winger for Liverpool is behind the fullback. Now, Andy Robertson's a really experienced player. I'm not sure if he had a knock in this situation as well. But again, far too easy to play through Liverpool and get at them. It's a tough place to go, Chelsea, but with the team Chelsea had out, that's a game Liverpool should have won, especially going at 1-1. But from Chelsea's point of view, it's absolutely fantastic result for them. The biggest result, I would think, under Enzo Maresca in his tenure, certainly at Stamford Bridge. But
Yeah, certainly in the Premier League, yeah.
Yeah, in the Premier League, listen, they won the World Club Cup against Paris Saint-Germain, but in terms of a togetherness with the club and what it meant, I think it was an unbelievable victory for them. Andy Robertson's bending down at the back post, maybe just switch off. Whether he gets his injury there or it was just before there, we're not too sure. But that was a victory that does a lot for a club in terms of the manager. I love the manager celebration. I loved him running down there. I can't believe he can't come in front of the cameras afterwards. That's just ridiculous. You know, afterwards you want to hear from him. As I said, for me, his biggest result, that will build a connection with the supporters. I said a lot last season with Enzo Maresca. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's a really good coach. As I said, every time they come up against Liverpool, they seem to have a plan to get the better of them. But at times, there wasn't that real connection with the supporters. And maybe that was just waning in the last few weeks again. Because obviously what happened in the summer was fantastic, but some poor results. But celebrating like that, a win like that against the champions, I think creates a really strong bond.